Hey, this is Brandon with Seattle Coffee Gear. I am here today to talk about water filtration, mainly water softening. We are trying to look into basically what we need for espresso machines. One of the biggest ones we sell actually is the Everpure ESO7. And we kind of sell this just because it's a pretty generic water softener altogether. It takes care of a lot of different areas, and it typically lasts pretty long. It covers all of your manufacturer warranty, so they'll take care of it. Everyone basically gets covered by this filter. This one here, it's a single cartridge system, so you're going to see the Everpure ESO7, and you're going to see a little head. This is called the QL2 head, but Everpure makes a couple different heads. You can really get any one that fits this system. We typically put it in with the QL2 head just because it's simple and inexpensive to do. The idea with water softening, okay, each machine that you're going to put it on, any espresso machine, and we are talking strictly espresso machines, we don't want to do this on regular coffee drip brewers. Each espresso machine is going to require a certain amount of scale that actually goes into that machine. So when we're talking about scale on it, we're looking at, most of them want to be right at about 5 grains of calcium carbonate inside of your water or less. This filter here, it brings that down. So let's just say you're in a place where you have harder water, so we're at 7, 8, 9, 10 grains of calcium carbonate inside the water. You're going to have to use a water softener to protect your machine. Besides the fact that it wouldn't cover your warranty if you're not using a softener, if you're that high of hardness, you also just, it's an expensive investment. You know, you're putting $10,000, $15,000 in the machine. Something like this, which is $100 to $150 depending on when we get them and what it is, it's inexpensive to protect your machine. So you really want to put a softener on there. The big thing with softeners is you have to figure out is what we're doing with that water. Okay, so if we are at, say, 7 grains of scale, that needs to be brought down. But if you are in a softer water place, let's say you're at 5 or 4 or 3, you actually typically do not want to use something like this. You want to get into a different cartridge system. This will actually kind of make that water more aggressive. So when you're doing this, putting something in, make sure you take a look at it. If you're one of the few people that have great water, make sure we're getting you the right cartridge. You're not putting this on there. Otherwise, you could actually do damage to your machine. So on to the specific cartridge, this, like I said, it's the ESO7. This actually will filter out 5,300 grains of scale deposits. That may not mean really much to you, but what that does, it gives you a number to figure out when we want to replace this, because once it gets past its life, it doesn't protect your machine anymore, so we need to get it replaced out. Effectively, what we're going to do is take that number, that 5,300, and we're going to divide that by the grains of hardness in your water that you've tested on site. So let's just say we have, again, 7 grains of scale deposits in your water. You're going to take that 5,300, divide it by 7, and that's going to tell you roughly 760 gallons of water is when we want to replace this out. So now it's just a matter of figuring out what your daily consumption is as far as water goes. But most smaller coffee shops, that's probably going to be anywhere from 6 months to a year, give or take. Keep in mind though, if we're in a higher deposit area, that's going to go down. So if I'm taking that 5,300 and we're in 10 grains or 11 grains, we're going to shorten the lifespan on this. So we might be replacing it every 3 to 6 months as opposed to 6 to 12 months. But really, once you get that, you can kind of figure it out from there. And then you can make sure you're actually purchasing the right filter for your specific needs. As we talked about, we have the QL2 head that's right here as well. There's a couple different easy ways to install this system. Most of it comes with Quick Connect or John Guest, depending on where you go to buy them. They're called both. It's for easy installation. So it's a nice little flexible tube. You can see it right here as well. It kind of bends around and makes it easy to go with. Little plastic fittings as well that go inside of here. And then all we have to do is have from our water source back here, again, a John Guest or Quick Connect line coming forward. This is basically 3/8 pipe threading. The nice part about this, especially on any commercial machine you're talking about, those machines come in British pipe threading, and that's the hardest part inside the US. Everybody gets the machine, you can't find British pipe threading anywhere. If you convert it over to something like this, these will actually screw in, these little quick connect pieces, they're 3/8. They'll screw into this head, they'll also screw into your 3/8 British pipe threading on your machine, so it's the quickest and simplest way to make that conversion. Head obviously does not come with these units, so I've already installed them just to make this video a little quicker. But once we install them, you're left with this. There's a little arrow on top that's going to tell you which way the water needs to flow. So basically this is our in, that's our out. So we're going to take the water line from the source, put it into here, Filter's gonna go right here, and then we're gonna send it out to our espresso machine that way. These systems are very, very easy to put in. This obviously can just screw directly underneath a cabinet somewhere. Once you put it up there though, it's just a simple twist and lock. The trickiest part about it is you really want to make sure it pops in there. So you can see how it has some play as I start twisting it. You want to twist it and make sure you can pull it, it's not coming out. If you kind of leave it like that, when you turn it on, you're just going to have water spraying all over the place. So just make sure it's in there, can't come out, and then you're good to go ahead and put water into it. With this system, it's very important, and really any water softening system, you want to flush the filter before you send that water to your espresso machine. There is some resin inside of here, and if you get that resin inside your espresso machine, it really can cause some damage. So the rule of thumb, even with anyone, even the ones that say you don't have to flush it, I still flush them just to be on the safe side. We normally want to flush out about 5 gallons worth of water, because once it does that, out of all that resin, we're into just the regular softened water that's coming out of there, and then you can take and connect it to your espresso machine. So effectively, I have this right here. What I'm going to do, I'm just going to take this off right now first. Theoretically, this would be installed underneath a cabinet somewhere, so you don't have it as nice and easy for me, but I'm just going to do it so you guys can see from there. This is a water line that's coming back out. Right now it's capped off, so I don't have any water coming through it. I'm going to plug that in just like that. With these John Guest lines, you want to push them in and just make sure they go in. The first pop, really, it kind of feels like it's in there, but it's not. If I were to turn that water on again, I'd have spraying water coming out. You really want to make sure it's just in there, and then you can actually do this. You won't be able to get it off. If for whatever reason you need to get it off, there's this little tab that's right there. It's kind of hard to see, but effectively, if you notice when I push in, that tab pushes in. What you do is you take it, you push it in, put your fingers right there to hold it there, and then use your back fingers to pull it out. So it's nice and easy, and then we'll take it, pop it back in there. We're good to go. Now that I've got my water source in there, this is gonna get a little awkward for me here. I'm gonna go ahead and pop that in there. Now, if I turn this on, water is going to come out that way, and I don't particularly want that to happen. So I'm going to go ahead and push this one in, just like that, and I am actually going to cap this section off, because you can see it's on right now. So once I do this, now I don't have any water that's coming after me, I can go ahead and turn on the water to it. You hear a little bit of noise as it's filling up this chamber, then it's going to come right up to here. Once it gets to the top, now we have no water coming through, we are good. So this thing actually has been charged. There's water actually inside there now. Now is that point where I want to come back here, and I got a sink back here, and I'm just going to go ahead and open it, and then start running water out of here. So like I said, you want to run roughly 5 gallons. You'll see when you first kind of start doing this, there's this little white milkiness to the water, and that's all that resin that you're trying to get out of there. But once you kind of get through this, 5 gallons out, that water's going to turn clear. And once it turns clear, it's perfectly safe to go into your machine at that point. All right, so now we've got our 5 gallons that actually ran through there. So we are actually good at this point to go ahead and connect this directly to the espresso machine. I'm going to see this will not stand up for me, so I'm just going to go ahead and lean it right there. It'll probably leak a little bit. Don't do that. They're not meant to lay on their sides. At this point here, we can actually go ahead and connect another piece of this John Guest tubing right into here. In general, you can bring this right into your machine. It's no problem. When I do an installation, we actually will install another piece that I don't have with me, but it's a T effectively. What that T is going to do is it's going to separate it, and it's going to send another line down. I will then, at that line, put another one of these on-off valves to cap it. And the reason I do that is now when I go to replace my filter 6 months to a year from now, I don't have to disassemble everything just to replace it. So now what you would actually have is a T coming down with a cap, or with on-off valve. You're going to have the on-off valve right here as well, and then you're going to send this directly to the machine. When you go to replace this thing 6 months to a year from now, what you do with it is you want to close this back off like I have it right now, and then from that standpoint, no water can get into the machine. So then we put a new filter inside of it, we turn it on, I open up this valve down here to drain it out, and now I can send all of that resin water down without having to go back and disassemble everything. If you don't do that, it's no big deal. You just got to go to your machine and make sure you disconnect it before you flush out any type of filter from here. Other than that, that is the whole system. So it's very easy to do. It's a lot nicer than some of the old school ones where you had to actually sit there and charge it with salt every 30 days, because most people forgot to do that. You can put it in there, measure out exactly when you need to replace it, how many gallons you got to go through, roughly figure out how many gallons a day you're going through, and then you'll have a time frame for when you want to do it. Again, this is for places that we're trying to cut scale down, so I caution you, if you are in a low scale area, if you're under 5 grains, you don't want to put a water softener on there. We want to get something else. But for anybody else, you're able to get this system. And if you want to, if we get into these really, really hard water areas, we can actually buy double and triple systems, which will increase the capacity before you have to actually push it out there. Very easy to install. Once you have it in there, it's so super easy to switch out. Again, at that point there, you're just gonna have to get into there, cut the water off to it, take it off, you just twist it off, put a new one in there, twist it on, and you can rinse it right out. It's simple. And again, you've got $15,000 into your espresso machine. We want to protect it. Something like this, it's very, very inexpensive to do, and you can do this yourself. You don't need a technician to come out. If you want to see anything more on it or learn more, please go to seattlecoffeegear.com.